Good evening, and welcome to my presentation for Module 1 in Educational Leadership about the personal introduction video and educational leadership skills and assessment. And here we go. Just a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Glen Elder, Kansas, a small town in north central Kansas. I have a family of 5. My father owns and operates Winkle Manufacturing, which is a manufacturing company in Glen Elder, Kansas. My mom is the vice president of a credit union. I have an older brother that works for NASA in Langley, Virginia, and I have a younger sister who is a pharmacist in the Kansas area at a Hy-Vee. I graduated from Beloit High School, and then I went on to Wichita State to earn my secondary math education degree. And coming soon, I will have my Fort Hays State degree with educational administration. I'm very excited about it. Here is a list of my teaching jobs I've had in my past. You can read through those. I currently work at Nelson Middle School in Frisco, Texas. I just moved here in June. And in the future, I hope to be a middle school or high school principal or assistant principal anywhere I can get a job and what is best for my family. Other important facts, I had a coaching career, which I put on hold for now. I've coached everything from middle school volleyball, track, high school basketball. So I have a good resume there. Favorite activities include being outside, tutoring kids in math, being with family and friends, and discovering this new state that I live in. Short-term goals, I plan to manage my time well between teaching school and being in grad school and learning the ways of a new school, district, and state, which has been a lot so far. Long-term, I hope to get a master's degree in educational administration, learn to become a confident admin while completing my practicum hours, and then get an admin job and start a family. So that's just a little bit about me. Moving right along. Now let's talk about my critical reflection over mindset, dispositions, practices, and principles. So first, types of mindsets that were discussed, that all principals that are effective leaders should also have. So all students can learn. That kind of goes off your growth mindset versus fixed mindset, which I'm a huge believer in. We have to have that growth mindset as a leader, as administrator. And we have to stop with these excuses that not all kids can learn and have an apathy for them. We have to give them rigor and make sure we connect with them, support them, and reach all of them. Second mindset is we have to have collaboration over isolation. I am a huge believer in this. 2 minds is better than 1. We need this for school improvement. We can't be all about the individual teacher. We have to be about the team of teachers and teamwork. And the third mindset discussed is that happiness leads to success. I don't believe that if you become successful, then you'll be happy. I think if you're happy, you will become successful. Focus on the positive. There are so many obstacles in education that we have to focus on the positive and see things as a challenge and not necessarily as an obstacle. I agree with all these mindsets, as I kind of pointed out as I went through them. None of these I have any doubts about. I think these are very important for a leader. Types of disposition. Disposition is very much a tendency. It's your mood. I think that as a leader, you have to be confident. You have to be ambitious. It's not all about being popular. It's lonely at the top, is my saying. We have to be a risk taker and decisive. We learn by doing things and learning from those mistakes. We got to ready, aim, fire. We have to have a sense of humor. And I don't just mean being funny. You have to create humor in these challenging situations that happen every day in education to ease the tension. The fourth one is empathetically assertive. You have to have that balance between being patient with your staff and your students and being persistent. It is a balance that I need to work on. We have to learn how to coach our staff and our students, as there's going to be times that they don't want to grow, they don't want to change. So we have to learn how to coach them and not necessarily just be a boss at them. And then we always have to be a learner. Growth mindset goes back to it. We have to keep learning, reading, going to workshops, observing, sharing what we learn, sharing what we observe, and then put it into practice and reflect. Types of practices. There are 3 major ones. We have to learn how to focus and prioritize. Our time has to be centered around our important goals and objectives for our school so that all students are successful. We have to learn how to say no. We have to say no to distraction. We have to be simple over complex. Simple things, simple rules, simple guidelines. We can't be complex and try to be all fancy with big words and stuff. We have to examine feedback and data. I think we live in a world right now where all the right data is right at our fingertips, but if we don't review it and act on it, there's no purpose to all this data that we have right at our fingertips. We have to use it with an intent purpose of making an impact on student success. And then the third one is emotional intelligence. We have to inspire, or every conversation we have is said in the research, every conversation that leaders have, you either inspire, motivate, or demotivate. We have to reflect on that. When we have a conversation with a staff member, we have to know what just happened. Did we inspire them? Did we motivate them? Did we demotivate them? And then we have to make sure that we have those checkpoints in place to make sure that we have got to our desired outcome from those conversations we have. So we have to reflect and we have to value all of our staff. So emotional intelligence is huge right now. And that is the types of practices. Now, moving on to the 8 principles of being an ethical leader. We have to have personal courage. We live in a world where we're under a microscope in terms of education. We have to be willing to stand up and do what's best for our students in this world and against the public. Opinions, we got to keep those out. Like I said, it's lonely at the top. But kind of in the same piece, we have to keep the public interest, especially our own community interest, ahead of ourselves. We can't be all about, getting ahead for ourselves. It's about getting ahead for the school and for the students. We have to have self-control, self-discipline, and integrity. We are a role model in the community. Everyone is looking at us. So those 3 things you have to have. You have to be task and employee centered. You have to know the strengths of your teachers and staff. You have to know the needs of your staff. You have to draw on the strengths of your staff and your students. That all kinds of ties into the 4th one there. Then you have to recognize your talent. You have to promote it, recognize them, and then maximize it. You have to, if you have a very talented teacher in using the smartboard, for example, you have to recognize it and then maximize it by having them lead professional learning, for example, or showing the new teachers how to use it. That has to go in with the talent. You have to require high ethics from all. It mentioned in the research, that doesn't just mean teachers and staff, that means the students and the parents and the community. You have to require those ethics from all. You have to be sensitive and understand. You have to have equity in there. And then you have to be inclusive, which kind of tied into trust, consideration, and respect for all of your staff and your stakeholders when making important decisions. Now, how do I feel about all this? My critique and changes I need to make on my own, which is why I put a mirror on this slide. Like I said, I've always been a huge supporter of collaboration. I don't like it when teachers don't work together. 2 minds is always better than 1. So I really agreed with that mindset. Disposition that I need to improve on, being decisive and being patient. I need to have a better understanding that we all have lives and we don't all change and grow at the same pace. So those 2 things, being decisive in terms of making big decisions and having courage, and being patient, I need to really work on those. Looking at data, like I said, I think we're all great at reviewing data and talking about it, but we have to act on it. That's somewhere I need to change for sure as well. And then a couple of things, prioritizing. A leader has a lot of roles, from the budget to making sure everyone's following the rules, to the students, to, right now with COVID. And then you have SPED, you have to be in charge of all those things. So I have to learn how to prioritize. I hope to learn more about that in my practicum when I am with good leaders. Having courage. Education is under a microscope. I have to balance between having courage to do the right thing for my kids and also public interest ahead of myself. So I have to gain some courage, I feel like. And then the sensitivity piece, I have to give my staff and students, I have to pressure them, a good amount of pressure, but also be patient. So that's kind of my critique and how I feel about the mindset, dispositions, practices, and principles discussed, and where I need to work on and what changes I need to make for myself in order to be a great leader. So tying it all together, with educational leadership, we must ensure academic success through these processes, resources, and professional development. To make things run smoother, leaders have to have the mindset, disposition, practices, and principles of highly effective school leaders, as stated in the research. Most of the points that I made all center around student success. Whether it's cultivating happiness among your staff, looking over stakeholder feedback, or recognizing talent among the staff. They're all done by the leader, which would be me, in order to improve schools and increase student success. It's kind of my tying piece of it all together. Here's my correlation. I'll let you read that. Here's my relevancy statement. This assignment was extremely relevant and gave me a chance to actually sit and reflect on things I need to work on before I become an actual school leader, and things that I'm already good at to make me more confident. And then my personal reflection. How to be an effective leader by having these mindsets, dispositions, practices, and principles. And here are my references. I hope you enjoyed, and I can't wait to learn more in this class. Thank you so much.